Welcome, everyone. I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, and always record the police. That is how we will hold them accountable, by shining the light of transparency on their daily criminal activity. Today, revealed, the 75th Precinct, where Sean from Long Island Audit was arrested, was the subject of a Netflix documentary. Their criminal behavior is so egregious that it warranted an incredibly detailed and disturbing, extremely disturbing Netflix documentary. And by the way, the 75th Precinct was voted the most disrespectful in all of NYPD. Check this out. According to the Streetsblog, New York City, the winner and loser, the 75th Precinct, is the most disrespectful of all. Why? Let's dive into that. The people have spoken. The 75th Precinct in East New York is the worst of a very bad bunch. Again, they're all bad. They're the worst. The precinct, under the command of Inspector Rohan Griffith, has won Streetsblog's March Parking Madness Tournament, our annual contest to determine which precincts disrespect its neighbors most willfully with illegal parking, garbage, and theft of public space. The 75th is a model for everything a station house should not do. And why do they do this, ladies and gentlemen? Because they are above the law. And they are absolutely above the law. Without accountability, I'm going to underline that. Without accountability, police are above the law. Because they break the law constantly. How many times have you seen a police officer speeding down the highways, running red lights, not using their turn signal, driving recklessly, on their computers? While they're driving, they're not just on a cell phone, they're on their computers, putzing around. We get a ticket for that. We get stopped for that. Big tickets. Or how many times have you seen a cop on their cell phone? They're driving down the street, talking to their bookie, to their girlfriend, the married cop, maybe talking to their girlfriend, maybe talking to Madam Letitia, 1-900-PSYCHIC hotline, wondering, hey, where can I go to the next place I can assault someone, harass them, and shred their constitutional rights? I bet a lot of cops look up Madam Letitia just for that reason. Continuing. Now, despite having access to 5 parking lots, officers at the Sutter Avenue Precinct House park all over the place, on sidewalks, in the middle of the street, in front of curb ramps for the handicapped, in bus stops. No wonder peak speeds on the B14 route are less than 6 miles per hour on average, and waits are longer than average, according to the MTA's bus dashboard. And the cops here leave their trash all over the place, too. Junked cars line both sides of Sutter Avenue. Why? Because there's no accountability. And Mayor Adams is the worst of the worst because he's an ex-cop. He's going to protect them at all costs. He doesn't represent you. The people who voted for him, are you sorry now? Have you woken up? He never was going to represent you. He was always going to represent and be the head, de facto leader of the New York City Police. The worst police in the entire country, in reference to shredding constitutional rights, arresting people for recording them, which you and I have a right to do. But people get arrested constantly, and arrests are hundreds of percent higher over the last year. Piles of garbage are evidence that the Department of Sanitation can't properly sweep the area because the cops never vacate their spaces long enough for a good sweeping. Or is the Department of Sanitation afraid if they say anything or they come to clean up the disgusting, vile mess that the cops in the 75th satanistic precinct do there, if they're going to be concerned of getting unalived? The officers drive haphazardly, too. During one of our visits, we saw an officer pilot his personal vehicle the wrong way on a one-way side street to access a parking lot, nearly hitting a UPS delivery driver who wasn't looking. Because really, who looks the wrong way up a one-way street for a speeding police officer? And I could just about guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, if that driver had gotten hit by that cop, guess who would have been cited and arrested for careless driving? Wouldn't have been the police officer. Would have been that innocent man, because he didn't give deference. He didn't give fealty to the gods on Olympus. And that's how they act, ladies and gentlemen. And we are going to break that. We are going to stop that. This has been going on for generations, and it keeps getting worse. Continuing. Because parking lots have big signs forbidding trespassing, we generally left the cops' cars alone in there, except when they were visible from the street. And who's going to give the cops a ticket? Right. Who's going to give the cops a ticket? No one. During our first 2 visits, we saw 3 covered plates, 1 defaced plate, 2 out-of-state plates. Reminder, cops must live in New York State. And some stickers that violate departmental rules. The cars with covered plates all had bad driving records, including 1 cop with 37 camera-issued speeding tickets, plus 7 red light tickets, and another 14 speeding tickets since 2019. Let's do the math on that. It's 37, 47, 8, 9, 51, 58. 58 tickets, and this cop still is allowed to drive. And hasn't paid any of them probably either. That many tickets in less than 4 years. The cop with the defaced plate has 10 reckless driving tickets on his record. Nearby, there was 1 guy with a thin blue line sticker, I call it thick blue line, and 3 speeding tickets. Law and order for everyone but him. As I always say, rules for thee, but not for me, the cops. They are the gods of Olympus. By the way, when you record on a boat, you get bugs sometimes, so that's what I'm doing here. Now, another guy with a thin blue line sticker and 6 speeding tickets and 4 red light tickets, one of them issued since our visit. And of the 40 cars we spotted parked in NYPD zones or with placards around the station house, 18 cops had multiple reckless driving tickets. Even worse, 2 of the 75th Precinct's unmarked cars had bent plates. One of the most over displays of lawlessness possible. You do know the neighbors see that, right, coppers? But you don't have to take our word for it. The precinct's low respect for its neighbors was featured in an academic study published this week. See, this isn't anecdotal. This is not about a few bad apples. The entire police system is poison. And we can't reform it, actually. It literally has to be rebuilt from the ground up because the culture is completely poisoned. There is no fixing this system. The system was made broken. It didn't become broken. It was made broken. And then the Supreme Court keeps helping that along with Terry stops and qualified immunity and the various absolute authoritarian ways they interpret the Constitution. God knows what they're smoking when they're doing this, but it sure ain't something that is not messing up with their brain cells. Now, in the published report and in the respected journal Transportation Research Interdisciplinary Perspectives, the paper specifically said that the sidewalk parking at the 75th often occurs beyond the footprint of the building itself. And here's why it's important, because parking is just one single indicator of how they act and hack toward their community that they are supposed to be protecting and serving. But they don't. They just do their own thing. It's gods of Olympus. It's like the canary test. They put a canary in a mine. If the canary dies, poor canary, the miners know the air is poison because the canary will die before a human. But when it comes to the egregious criminality and non-caring of constitutional, civil, and human rights of the community, this is the canary in the coal mine here. This shows exactly how they view the public and their community. Terrible. Continuing. We realize that sort of thing is all too common among NYBT precincts. In the 3 years that Streetsblog has been overseeing this tournament, we've been, and they say that, of course, tongue-in-cheek, we've seen dozens of precincts completely disregarding the needs and basic humanity of their neighbors. By winning, of course means losing, the March Parking Madness contest, the 75th joins an illustrious / notorious honor roll, not rogues gallery of police precincts that have triumphed / disgraced themselves in this annual contest. And year after year, they will get away with this, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no accountability. So we literally have to force Mayor Adams to bring the NYPD to heel. We have to bring them under our thumbs. They are supposedly public servants. They do not act like it because they have qualified immunity. They have no accountability. They can do these things. They can have 52 tickets in a little over 3 years and get away with it. They can literally trash their neighborhood and get away with it. They could drive down one way, speeding down a one-way street the wrong way, almost kill a member of the community, and get away with it. And we need to band together, ladies and gentlemen, and watching these videos is not enough. Watching these videos is not enough. We need to come together and demand by calling, emailing Mayor Adams, calling the 75th Precinct, emailing them, demanding every cop breaking these laws be fired immediately, arrested for all of their traffic crimes, so justice can be served. Continuing. In 2021, the 114th Precinct in Astoria, which has recently been targeted by activists, it's a good thing, who are fed up with Deputy Inspector Kenneth Gorman's troops, won the contest thanks to streets that its officers made chaotic, crowded, blocked, constricted, and filthy. They are not called pigs for no reason, ladies and gentlemen, as we reported. But here's the thing. Pigs actually, like actual pigs in the animal world, they're actually not disgusting, vile creatures. They're very clean, very, very intelligent creatures. Police, who are many times called pigs in the vernacular, I'm not sure where that came from, because pigs are actually very neat. It's an insult to actual animal pigs to call cops pigs. And last year, of course, the 84th Precinct in downtown Brooklyn defeated 15 challengers thanks to horrendous parking, plenty of reckless drivers, and a commanding officer famous for his own pattern of psychotic, reckless driving. Rules for thee, but not for me. University of California professor Marcel Moran's journal study followed up on so many of our previous findings, reporting, for instance, that 91% of the NYPD station houses citywide have sidewalk parking, often extending along the entire block, and not simply in front of station houses, on adjacent blocks and both sides of the streets. Moran also found that police parking has had negative effects surrounding NYPD station houses, including double parking, obstruction of bus and bike lanes, and blocking of fire hydrants, and that parking behavior surrounding public sector offices significantly degrades walkability. Again, these may seem simple things, but they are a shadow of the bigger, vile, illegal behavior the police officer get away with complete and utter impunity. Is that okay to you? It ain't okay to me. This renders many sidewalks impassable, forcing pedestrians into traffic, and in many cases directly abuts residences and businesses, curtailing access to such destinations, Moran continued. The most obvious policy implication is the enforcement of existing parking regulations and or clarification of those regulations for police personnel. The NYPD, but surprise, surprise, Gomer, declined to comment on the specifics of Moran's report or his recommendation because they are cowards. They hate accountability. They hate the light of transparency that shows the truth of their behavior and their actions. But instead, they graced us. Thank the good Lord Jesus. They graced us by sending over a statement from an unidentified, this is crazy, spokesperson. That is not allowed. See how they get away with this? Who's in charge of the NYPD, really? Unacceptable. They do not comment on an egregious discovery of illegal behavior by the law enforcement that enforce the laws and ticket us, and they jail us and arrest us, sometimes kill us for doing nothing wrong or for breaking these same laws that they get away with impunity. Who's in charge of them? Who can hold them accountable? We, the people, are going to hold them accountable. Call Mayor Adams' office. Email Mayor Adams' office. Call the 75th Precinct. Email the 75th Precinct. Go on to social media. Tell them you demand a complete overhaul of the police, way beyond police reform. We will get it because, as Martin Luther King has said, the problem is not that we are outnumbered. The problem is that we are out-organized. And I am, as we speak, organizing other YouTube channels, other activists. Each of you are the army for police reform, literally. But just watching the videos is not enough. That exposes you to the awareness of the egregious and criminal behavior that the police are doing toward the general public. But that will not change anything in and of itself. You're aware. Now we have to take action. You have to take action. And number one action, and it does make a difference, Call Mayor Adams' office. Email Mayor Adams' office. Call, email, and go on social media, also with New York City Mayor's office as well. Demand a complete reboot of police reform and accountability to all of these officers, from the lowest level officer to the street guy, all the way, the beat cop, all the way up to the commissioner. They all have to be held accountable. And also call Senator Schumer's office and Senator Tim Scott's office. This is our step one in our strategy. Continuing. This is what the police say from the unidentified spokesperson. We listen to our communities, and we know that parking around our precincts is a persistent concern. It is difficult due to the number of persons who work in a precinct. Well, maybe you have too many freaking cops. And the amount of parking available, though that's most likely a lie. In terms of vehicles that are seized and stored at the precinct, if we are able to operate the vehicle, we will drive the vehicle to an appropriate storage location. We recognize that this is a challenge and remain committed to addressing these community concerns. And if you really were so interested in addressing their concerns, then you would have had an actual the police commissioner talking to the people about this, not some unidentified spokesperson. What garbage. We also asked to interview Inspector Griffith to discuss specifics of our findings at his precinct, and we asked about whether officers are ever disciplined for such egregious behavior. But that request was ignored. Don't accept that. They're not allowed to ignore us. They can't ignore us and still have a job. If someone came to you for help in your job, either a colleague or a member of the public, and you ignored them, how long would you have a job? You'd be fired like this. And that's exactly what we need to do with the police. We are taking over them once again. Continuing. Thankfully, a local organization, the East New York Community Land Trust, has also been urging the city to rein in the officers at the 75th, most recently in a detailed report of its malfeasance in the neighborhood. They're asking the city. The city's not going to do it. Mayor Adams is the city. The police are the city. Are they going to suddenly police themselves and have this epiphany and say, oh, like kind of like, remember the old V8 commercials? Oh, I could have had a V8. Oh, by the way, this is a delicious green drink. I know it looks disgusting. Kale, spinach, romaine, ginger, lemon, bok choy. I drink these regularly. Delicious. Very healthy. I know it looks disgusting, but get past that. Anyway, remember the old commercial? Oh, I could have had a V8. You think that the cops and the mayor are suddenly going to have an epiphany? No. They need to be forced to change their behavior, and you cannot negotiate with the police. Just like we can't negotiate with terrorists because they are domestic terrorists. There is nothing to negotiate with. Their culture is us against them, or them against us in their minds. They've earned the hate. We didn't suddenly decide, hey, let's hate police. They earn the hate every single day, and there are tens of thousands of videos you can view online, and all the cops out there, good cop, turn in your bad cops. I know you'll be unemployed shortly, but do the right thing. Do the right thing. Continuing. The 75th Precinct has employed a total of 471 full-time or salaried employees for the last 8 years, an amount greater than the whole New York City Parks operating staff in Brooklyn. This is insane. Think there's overkill of police there and police support personnel? Did the report? Black paper number 1. Redistributing the land resources of the NYPD in East New York and across New York City. Beyond its large human resources, the 76th Precinct enjoys access to an exorbitant amount of public land. The report details how several of the parking lots that are being used by the NYPD are actually zoned as residential, yet are being used to house cars rather than people. If we did that, what happens? Our cars are towed, they're booted, we got to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars of fines to get them back. No accountability for police. According to the report, the lot between Elton Street and Linwood Street is under the jurisdiction of the New York City Department of Housing. Public documents reveal that this lot was targeted to be developed as part of the East New York Urban Renewal Plan to create 1,300 single-family Nehemiah homes. Now that's a good use of the land there. The lot on the northeast corner of Essex Street usually holds 2 parked NYPD emergency service vehicles. and was supposed to be part of the Nehemiah Homes 2. The lot next to it at 516 Shepherd Avenue was targeted to be part of an urban development action area, an urban renewal program that in this case was part of a plan to create 37 family homes. The lot between Shepherd Avenue and Berryman Street is a storage site for junk, dilapidated vehicles that have either been abandoned or have been in traffic accidents. What does it all add up to? An individual precinct and an entire NYPD that simply doesn't care about how its officers behave in public. It is simply amazing that Police Commissioner Keechant Sewell does not address this. Why? Because the culture of police, it's them against us in their minds, and they are the one and only and original sovereign citizens. Rules for thee, not for me. They are absolutely above the law. When you have an ex-cop, as in Mayor Adams, a horrifically vile human being. Why do I say that? Because he doesn't protect the community that he swore an oath. When he became mayor, he swore an oath to protect the community and those who elected him. And he doesn't do that. Instead, he protects his thick blue line gang. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Rules for thee, but not for me. Let us hold them accountable. Accountability begins now, and it will not end until we truly have a reboot of what policing is in the United States of America. So that once again, we, the people, will become free again. I appreciate your support. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video. Please share this video as they help the algorithms, because there's been a lot of shadow, B-A-N-N-I-N-G, going on with my videos on this particular place you're watching this. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you next time.